Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you lost, even though you said everything you needed to? That tight knot in your throat, the feeling that your words pushed you further from your own strength? Maybe you're surrounded by people who dominate with volume, arrogance masked as confidence, and mockery disguised as debate. And maybe, deep down, you believe that staying silent was weakness, that not defending yourself was surrender, that not reacting meant you lost. But what if everything you've been told is wrong? What if true power was never in what you say, but in what you withhold? Friedrich Nietzsche, one of history's most misunderstood philosophers, saw through the illusion. He believed that those who talk too much expose too much, that those who try to convince are already insecure. Society teaches us that we must argue, explain, and defend, like every conversation is a courtroom. But Nietzsche offers a different path, subtle, lethal, and far more intelligent. Silence, he believed, is not emptiness. It's dominance. It's a force that unbalances others, makes them confront themselves, and breaks the illusion of control. This isn't about being passive. It's about choosing stillness as a form of power. This is for the one who always feels ignored, for the one who keeps peace while others take advantage, for the one who confuses silence with submission. Today, I'll show you that silence can be your most powerful weapon. And real strength is not in winning arguments, but in never needing to enter one. Let's break this down. Why do we feel the urge to respond, to explain, to prove ourselves right? Because we're afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of seeming weak. But that fear, it's ego, and ego is fragile. It confuses disagreement with attack and turns conversations into battles. Nietzsche said most people don't argue to discover truth. They argue to assert power, not to be understood, but to survive. So when you feel the need to justify yourself, you've already lost. You've entered their game. You're still seeking approval. True strength is holding your ground, even when misunderstood, even when laughed at, criticized, or rejected. Because mastery isn't about control over others. It's about control over yourself. And here's the twist. Silence is terrifying, not for you, but for them. Because when you don't respond, you force others to hear themselves. You reflect their noise back at them. And most people speak not to express, but to escape, to cover the gap between who they are and who they pretend to be. That's why silence works. In psychology, silence is often perceived as judgment. It creates discomfort, tension, and fear. The human brain, when denied a reaction, fills the gap with insecurity, paranoia, and projections. Silence becomes a mirror, and what it reflects is often unbearable. Now imagine using that mirror with intention. This is what Nietzsche's Übermensch, the overman, does. He doesn't react. He doesn't chase validation. He chooses when to speak, if at all. His silence is not absence. It's presence. It's control. So how do you use silence as a weapon? Stay silent when you most want to speak. When your ego screams for a reaction, resist. That's where strength lives. Observe. Listen not to respond, but to understand. Catch contradictions, fears, and lies in others' words. Use them later, if you ever need to. Let silence stretch. The longer you wait, the more powerful you become. The more anxious they become. Be unpredictable. People fear what they can't read. If they don't know when or if you'll respond, they lose control, and you gain it. But here's the warning. Don't confuse silence with weakness. The silence of submission is not power. It's surrender. Many stay quiet to avoid conflict, to keep the peace. But peace without self-respect is slavery. There is a silence that comes from fear, and there is a silence that comes from mastery. One bends, the other stands tall. One apologizes for existing. The other shifts the room without a single word. So ask yourself, is your silence fear or is it strategy? Because in a world full of noise, the one who masters silence becomes the one who cannot be controlled.